Hi everyone, so welcome back to my vlog. The title of today's vlog may be a bit confusing. Basically I want to talk to you about my ostomy story and how I came about to have an ostomy. But unlike most people, when they have their ostomy surgery, I wasn't deathly ill. In fact, I was not very ill at all. It wasn't emergency surgery. I actually chose to have my stoma and my ostomy. So today I wanted to kind of talk to you a bit about the reasoning and why I chose to have my ostomy, how that came about. So as I said in my previous vlog, I have had Crohn's disease since I was 9 years old. I think anyone that has Crohn's or IBD kind of thinks at some point in their life they're going to need to have some kind of surgery, and everyone hopes and prays that they don't end up having an ostomy or a stoma, either temporarily or permanently. And when I was younger, I was really ill for a really long time. I was on various medications, but I'll probably talk about my Crohn's story in a different vlog. And when I got to my kind of mid-20s, I felt a lot better. I managed to go back to university. I got my degree. And after I got my degree, I was actually feeling really well. I was able to go out a lot more. I didn't have to worry about, you know, wanting to stay at home because I was worried about my stomach if I needed to go to the toilet. But unfortunately, my colon was quite narrowed with what is called strictures. So strictures is basically like where your colon should be about this wide, and mine was basically like this. It was really narrow, and it was causing me some problems. Just in terms of pain, I had to be careful what I was eating. I had to have quite a low fibre diet. Otherwise, if I had a lot of fibre, then my stomach would get really blocked up and it was painful, and yeah, it caused me a few problems. But overall, like I said, my health was really well. I was able to get my degree. I was looking for jobs. Things were looking kind of good for me, actually. But on occasions I had to go into hospital and have like colonoscopies where they'd try and widen the strictures. And then when they tried to widen the strictures, sometimes they found that the strictures were actually too narrow to get the camera through, which meant they couldn't look at the rest of my colon. So I then went to go and see my consultant. I think they were a little bit concerned that my last colonoscopy they couldn't get past the strictures at all. And they kind of said, you know, maybe you should think about having surgery. And if you do have surgery, there's probably about a 30% chance that you'll end up with an ostomy. Obviously, it's the words everybody does not want to hear. It's something everyone dreads. And I also was dreading it. So I kind of thought about seeing a surgeon. Between then and my next appointment with my consultant, I actually felt a lot better. I was doing really well. I was, you know, going through the process of having job interviews for like proper career type jobs. And then I like kind of thought, you know, do I really want to have surgery at this time of my life? Like, I am feeling really well. I have always thought if I was going to have surgery, I would be really ill. It'd be a last resort choice for me. So I told my surgeon this, and he said, you know what, I agree with you. If you're fine, you feel well, there's no point in having surgery. I won't refer you to the surgeon anymore. So everything was really good. I then managed to get myself a job, doing something which looked really interesting, really great, a really great opportunity for me, something I never thought I'd be able to do. And when I started that job, I took a banana with work to me to have as a snack. So I was having one banana every single day for 2 weeks, and it completely and utterly, to be a little bit crude, blocked me up. I wasn't able to pass anything at all, and I was in excruciating pain all night. It got to about 4 o'clock in the morning and I knew that I wouldn't be able to go to work the next day, and I felt awful because I just started this job. I'd only been there for 2 weeks. So the next morning my mum took me to the doctors. They said, you need to go to the hospital now, and there's a possibility that you will... Sorry, it's my cat meowing in the background. And there's a possibility that you will have to have emergency surgery. Obviously this is not something I wanted to do. In addition to that, my consultant was actually based just outside, outer London, and I did not live near outer London. My local hospital, I was not under for my Crohn's disease, so it concerned me that I'd have to have emergency surgery at that hospital. But I went anyway, and I could have told them I went to this other hospital for my my Crohn's disease, and they called my consultant and spoke to them. And I was really lucky that actually they just decided to do some surgery to like widen my stricture up. They wouldn't be doing anything drastic, which was great. So that's what they did. I went back to work, and then I went to go and see my consultant again, and he said, you know, maybe you should think about going to see a surgeon. And I thought, you know what, I am going to go and see the surgeon. If I am going to have surgery, I want it done under my terms. I want to be prepared for it, both mentally and physically. And I prefer to have the surgery done at the hospital that specialises in IBD and not my local hospital as an emergency procedure. So the next step was then to go and see the surgeon. He was really, really lovely. I couldn't have asked for more, really. But he broke the news to me that because of my Crohn's disease, where all the problems were, I would have to have my whole colon removed, my rectum, everything in one procedure, and have an ostomy for the rest of my life, which was not what I wanted to hear. But at the same time, he said that if I didn't have the surgery, then there'd be a risk that I'd get colon cancer with the amount of Crohn's I had for such a long time. They wouldn't be able to pick it up because the colonoscopy wouldn't be able to get that far around to my colon to actually view the potential cancer that would be there, which obviously is worrying when you're in your 20s. You don't want to be hearing that you may get cancer and not be able to find it. So it would take that worry away, and hopefully it would improve my life in terms of my Crohn's as well. So I decided to go for it, and I booked my surgery for about 3 months after that, after seeing my surgeon. And I went home. I was obviously very upset. I cried in front of my boss the next day, which I felt really bad for him because, you know, it was a little bit embarrassing to just burst out crying in front of your manager when he asks you if you're okay. But I suppose it's not surprising when you hear news like that. It's life-changing news. It changed my life forever. It's not news that I wanted to hear. It's not what I wanted to happen. But I kind of got to the point where I thought, you know what, I'm either gonna have the surgery and accept and embrace my ostomy, or I'm gonna hate my life forever. Which option do I prefer? Obviously, I prefer to enjoy my life and see the positives. So after that, again, another benefit of the fact that I chose to have my ostomy and I had 3 months to prepare, I started researching ostomies, I started researching different bags, I started talking to loads of different people that had ostomies, and I actually met a woman who lived quite locally to me, and she had a colostomy. So I met up with her, she showed me all her bags, she gave me some samples. I went to go and see the stoma nurse at the hospital, and she gave me like a pretend stoma and an ostomy bag. She said that I could wear it, I could try different positionings of the stoma on my body and decide whereabouts I wanted it, if I wanted a bit higher or a bit lower, and just try out what it was like to have a bag. Which seems a little bit strange, sticking a bag on you when you don't actually have an ostomy. And obviously the bag doesn't fill up, so you don't get the full real experience, but at least it's, you know, some sort of way of me finding out what it's really like to have an ostomy. So that's what I did. By the time I came around to have my surgery, I actually felt quite mentally prepared. Obviously I was nervous, I didn't know how I was really going to react after I had the surgery. The other great thing is because I had all of my colon taken out in one go, I actually managed to have the whole thing done via keyhole surgery, laparoscopically. So I don't have any large scars on my stomach. I have like the smallest tiny scars, at which I can barely point out now if you tried, on my stomach. Everything came out the other end. So again, another great benefit of not having it via emergency surgery was the fact that I could have it via keyhole surgery. which was really great. So as soon as I came around from this surgery, I was actually in quite a lot of pain. Because I had it via keyhole, they blew me up with air essentially, and I got a really bad pain in my chest. But they soon dosed me up with a lot of morphine. I was on a morphine pump. And as soon as they pumped me full of morphine, I felt a lot better. And actually the first day after they wheeled me up into the ward, I was actually feeling really, really good. The second day, maybe not so much, but I found out since that actually the second day I always struggle a bit mentally. I don't know if it's from the anaesthetic or not. But they put a clear ostomy bag on me at first, and when it started working, it was not spurting, but it had kind of green stuff coming out of it, which was a little bit disturbing, and the fact you can see it. But when I looked down and saw it, it didn't really bother me very much. I think I was waiting for things to kind of hit me, and you know what, they never did. I think I must have really done a really good job at like mentally preparing myself. I was really ready for the surgery, and I basically just enjoyed some time laying, relaxing in the hospital. Obviously there was times when I was in pain, but I was on a morphine pump. Things are really well controlled in terms of my pain. The stoma nurse came round and kind of taught me how to change my ostomy. They do make sure that you can change your ostomy bag yourself before they'll let you leave the hospital. So that was really great, but she said that I did a really good job in knowing how to do it. But again, I've done so much research, I don't really know how I wouldn't know of how to change it. I just, you know, I'd been on forums, I'd looked up blogs, I'd looked up everything I possibly could do. So I managed to change the ostomy myself. It was kind of great in the way that I had a catheter in, and so there was actually no reason for me to ever get out of bed, because one thing was going into the catheter, the other one was going into my ostomy bag. But they do kind of say to you, you should get up and walk around. It's really good for you to do that. So I did, and once I was able to get rid of my catheter, I felt a lot better and was able to go home. Once home, I was still living with my mum and dad at the time. Things were a little bit challenging. They weren't too bad though. It was more sort of dealing with the pain. I was still on quite a lot of pain medication. My ostomy worked fine. I changed the bag myself fine. My stomach was a bit bloated. But in the end I actually really lost my appetite, and I can tell when I'm ill because I love food, like love food. And I just didn't really want to eat very much. So I did actually lose quite a lot of weight. I wasn't really ill, I just was not hungry at all. But once my appetite came back eventually, after about 4 or 5 weeks, I was able to eat, and the weight unfortunately piled back on, and maybe a little bit more. Which I was kind of gutted because, you know, I'd lost about 4 pounds from losing my colon. Never mind. So I probably went back to work after about 5 weeks. It was a bit painful because obviously things down there were sore. It was quite difficult to just directly sit down, so I kind of had a cushion with me, and I only went into the office for a couple of hours and built up my hours as time went along, and work were really understanding. You know, they let me take that time off and come back as I needed to. And I kind of, you know, just had the cushion with me. I didn't properly sit down at work, but things were fine. I was able to drive there and back. And really, basically, I've not looked back since. It's been the best thing I've ever done. I've got my life back now. I don't have any active Crohn's disease because all my Crohn's was in my colon, and now my colon's gone. They feel, fingers crossed, that I hopefully won't get Crohn's in my small intestine. Obviously, I can't ever say for sure that that's the case, but I'm hoping so. Yeah, so do I regret my decision to choose my ostomy? Definitely not. Definitely not. And I think I'm kind of glad also that it is a permanent decision. I don't have to think about whether I want it reversed, and I honestly think that if I did have the choice, I wouldn't get it reversed. But also it helped me with my acceptance, because if I had a temporary one, I would just constantly be thinking, it's just temporary, I'll go back to living normally soon, it's just temporary, I'll be able to go back to how I was. And because it is permanent, I had no choice but to get used to the idea quickly, or as I said, hate my life, and that's not something that anyone wants for themselves. So I think I'll end it there for now. I'll probably talk about my daily life in a bit more detail, and obviously I also want to talk about my Crohn story at some point. So yeah, so if anyone has any questions about making the decision to have an ostomy, or what it's like to have the surgery, recovering after the surgery, if anyone wants me to go into any more detail, then just shoot me a comment and I'll quite happily do so. So I hope you all take care for now, and I'll talk to you soon.